I had a client recently who shared that she lost her job after 22 years of being with the same job. She's a dental hygienist, has been working for the same office for 22 years is a very long time. And here's something fascinating that she shared. She knew very early on into working for this office, this person, that things weren't right. She knew that it was only a matter of time before the business deteriorated. Well, 22 years is a long time. But the point that I'm trying to make is that she knew early in that process that things weren't aligned for her. And yet she stayed. So there was a part of her that knew the writing was on the wall. And there was another part of her that ignored her intuition. And the same pattern also showed up in her marriage. She was in a difficult marriage with someone who had narcissistic traits. And she knew before even walking down the aisle that it was the wrong choice. And yet continued to stay for many years. Once again, that pattern of staying past the expiration date. So if this is familiar, if you know that you stay past the expiration date in situations and relationships in your life, then I want to talk about why. I want to talk about the habits that we get into that continue fueling our denial. And I leave you with a difficult question at the end on how you might start breaking free of your own pattern of staying too long past the expiration date. So, why do we do it to begin with? We do it because we have programming in here. We have inner programming. If you attract men and partners who can't meet you halfway and yet you stay long past the expiration date, hoping that they will, this means that you have inner programming of unworthiness. You're subconsciously believing it. When it's subconscious, the chances are you're likely not aware that you believe that you're unworthy. The way that you'll know that you have some unworthiness stuff going on is by what shows up in your outer environment. You are the common denominator, and the things that show up in your life are simply a mirror to reflect back your own unhealed trauma, the subsequent belief systems that you've instilled that have been instilled in you, and the actions that you're taking. So we have stuff that incidents that happen to us in childhood, good, bad, right, or wrong, subconscious beliefs. And those subconscious beliefs we then carry with us into our adult life. And those subconscious beliefs create the actions that we take in our life that produce the results that we get. So if you have a subconscious belief that I'm unworthy, or you have a subconscious fear that people will leave you, you'll find yourself staying in situations long past the expiration date because you don't want to be abandoned. You're trying to avoid the feeling of abandonment. And this pattern is largely unconscious. So that's really what I want to drive home is the fear. Why do you do it? Why do you find yourself in situations that don't serve you and you stay and stay and stay and give and find that you're empty and don't even know who you are anymore? It's because of fear. And most of that fear often comes from a fear of abandonment. And if you trace it back to your childhood, you'll probably find the source there. Does not mean that you should continue rehashing what happened to you in your childhood. It doesn't mean that you go to therapy every week and rehash what your best friend did to you this week or the texts that your ex sent to you last week. I want to make it clear that rehashing the old stories does nothing to change your behavior. It provides validation, which is important, but it doesn't change your behavior. Insights alone that you get from this podcast, insights that you read from a book, those don't change your behavior. They're helpful information, but information does not equate to transformation. Transformation requires your commitment and that you take consistent action out of your comfort zone every single day. Doesn't mean you take gigantic leaps out of your comfort zone every single day, but that you start to take action out of your comfort zone consistently and deal with the resistance and the discomfort that comes up along the way. Most people don't change and they continue to stay in situations past the expiration date because it's comfortable and it's what they know. And the unknown, from a human condition perspective, is a very scary place. Uncertainty is scary. We try to avoid uncertainty as much as possible. But this is what I want you to remember. Uncertainty is the place where everything that you want lives. So, in order to change, you have to be willing to deal with the discomfort of uncertainty. So this brings me to why how do we hold ourselves in this holding pattern, if you will? The client that I mentioned knew early on in her career with the job that she was with wasn't a right situation. She also knew with her ex wasn't the right situation. But she continued to hold herself. And even after, let me back this up, even after she divorced her husband, continued to replay the pattern of holding herself in unhealthy states of emotion, friends, lack of boundaries for 8 years afterwards, continued to date men that didn't serve her for 8 years. So she continued this pattern of staying too long past the expiration date, even after she left her marriage. And this all goes down to the subconscious belief of I'm unworthy or I have a fear of abandonment. Again, subconscious. We hold ourselves in these patterns by denying the reality of our circumstances. There's 4 words that will ruin your life. And this applies to addicts this is extreme behavior, but this will also apply to you if you find that you're stuck. Life looks great since you've left. You've certainly rebuilt. You've done everything right. You've checked all the boxes. You've had the therapy. You've had the EMDR. You've grown in your career. You're making more money. You have a peaceful life. And yet you feel stuck. Why? The same pattern that you probably had in your marriage or relationship where you told yourself, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I shouldn't complain. Everybody has their issues. Everybody goes through hard times. We justify or we rationalize why it's better just to stay where we are. We gaslight ourselves into avoiding our intuition. We hear the call of our intuition, but we don't do anything about it. We ignore it. We say it's not the right time. We say, oh, that's a stupid idea. Why would I want to do that? We find ourselves in these patterns where we ignore the voice that's trying to get through to us. So if you've ignored your intuition and you've stayed long past the expiration date, what will happen is a lot of people who find themselves playing out this pattern obviously get into relationships that don't serve them. And then they blame the other person. That person gaslit me. And I want to make a really bold claim here, and this might hurt your feelings. The person, your ex, may have gaslit you, but the first person that ever gaslit you was yourself. The moment you felt your gut instinct and you turned away from it. How do you stop this insidious pattern of slowly destroying your happiness from the inside out? The first thing that often needs to happen is people have their moment of reckoning. Usually, when somebody comes aboard and break the cycle, they've reached their breaking point. They've either exited another unhealthy relationship, even though they did all the right things to heal. They have been to maybe it's a series of events in their lives where they dropped their kid off at college and they were the only single person there, or they're turning 55 and they realize they haven't been on a date in 7 years, or they just their best friend is getting engaged and seems to have a lot of excitement in her life, and here you've been feeling stagnant for the last 8 years of your life. So there's usually a reckoning, a moment of reckoning, an internal feeling, a conviction, a sense of urgency that you can't keep doing this anymore. My client who lost her job, do you know the thing that she told herself over those 22 years? I think I have more time. I think I have more time here. And while that was what kept her in that for 22 years, what I want to say to you is that you might be telling yourself some similar version of that. It's not that bad. I think I have more time. I have more time to meet somebody. Another way of saying this is, I need to work on myself more first before I can finally meet somebody. I need to lose more weight first before I can finally put myself out there. I need to get less busy in my career before I can finally put myself out there. It's the delay, it's the avoidance, it's the denial of you denying yourself of what you want that is the root issue here. And that stems to your inner stuff that you haven't addressed yet or healed. And here's the kicker, the longer we continue to stay in things long past the expiration date, the harder it feels to change. It's like an addict. The longer they remain addicted to the drug, the harder it is to stop. It's not impossible, but the process of stopping is uncomfortable. They usually have a rock bottom moment where they realize, I can't keep doing this anymore. I have to save myself from ruining myself. So if you're hearing this today, it's no accident. And you were meant to hear this message today. And the question that I want to leave you with is, how much longer are you going to continue denying yourself and depriving yourself of what you really want? How much longer are you going to continue bullshitting yourself and saying it's not that bad? The guy that I'm dating right now, I know that he's very inconsistent, but it's not that bad. When he's giving me attention, it's fine. But the other times it's I don't know, but it's not that bad. I mean, my ex was a lot worse. How much longer are you going to continue telling yourself, it's not that bad if I go another 8 years and I don't go on another date ever again in my life? And I get it, like for a lot of women, they don't have to have a relationship. You've probably learned after your ex to be extremely self sufficient and provide for yourself. And I understand that not everybody wants a relationship, but if you're listening to this, chances are you probably do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be drawn into this type of content. How much longer are you going to keep stagnating? Because time is passing you by. And we always tell ourselves, oh, I didn't think it would happen to me. I thought I had more time, until we get the wake up call that seals our inner knowing and that throws our inner knowing in our face that we should have taken action a long time ago. So if this resonates for you and you have been in a holding pattern for a long time since your ex and you feel stuck in your life, everything looks good. Nobody would really know that you're stuck except yourself. To the outside world, you've got your shit together. You go to work, you put on a polished facade, you're successful. You're probably more successful than you were when you're with your ex because your ex drug you down so much. So after dropping that dead weight, you've probably built a life that on paper looks pretty good, but you're not happy in it. In fact, you feel like your life feels kind of like the same prison that your marriage felt like or your last relationship. If you're ready to start getting unstuck, then I invite you to book a free breakthrough session. Go to bethany.10.com/talk. That will be a 45 minutes, no obligation talk where we're going to uncover your hidden beliefs. We're going to get to the root cause of why you're doing what you're doing that's sabotaging yourself. And we're going to get you clear on the vision of the life you want to have, the compelling, exciting vision of the relationship you want in your life. And then lastly, we're going to give you the steps to get there. And the steps might be coming aboard and working with us. The steps might be, I don't know, maybe we're not quite a fit yet to help you get there. And it might be something else for a minute. But I want to clarify that this call is for women who've already invested in their own healing. They've had some level of therapy, maybe other career coaching. They're not newbies to the world of personal development or working on themselves, right? You're not in an abusive relationship. And for the most part, every other area of your life is going pretty well. But there's this voice inside that keeps saying, I can't keep doing this anymore. If that's you, BethanyDotson.com/talk. That's all for now, my friends. I will see you on the next episode. Take care.